What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I'm here with Sean, so we'll roll the intro and let's get started. Okay, Sean, so give me your full name, your age, and where you're born.
Sean Lewis, 27 years old. I'm from Rockford, Michigan.
Rockford. Okay, and then so you were born in Rockford, Michigan, and you just pretty much lived your whole life there?
Same house.
Same house?
Yep. Okay,
so this is going to be a pretty boring podcast then.
Sure thing.
I'm just kidding. So when did you start playing soccer?
I think three or four years old. Both of my older sisters played, so I just kind of got into it with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first sport was just like playing backyard baseball with my dad and stuff like that. But first organized sport, soccer, I think 4 years old.
Uh-huh. And then did your dad play soccer at all?
No, he was like, the typical seasonal sport athlete, high school and college, baseball, football, track, basketball.
So that was the same exact.
Zero soccer experience, yeah.
And then so you just were put in soccer because you didn't want to go into like American football at the time, or?
I got into it because of my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, both my older sisters played, so I just kind of, was interested in it just because they were playing. And then I just loved it, so I just kept doing it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the same exact thing for me too.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, I'm good at it. I like it, so
yeah.
keep going.
When you're a kid, you start trying like a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
And then you just find something that you really like, and then if you're good at it, you just keep on doing it.
Yeah. And then when did so you were just playing like recreational from like 4, 5 up until like 10, 11?
So I would do like the like the co-ed type thing with like your elementary school or something like that. I did that for maybe a year or two, but at the same time I was doing like summer camps and stuff like that. Around my town there was all kinds of stuff you could do. There's a team called Flying Kick. I always had summer camps.
Yeah.
I spent all my summers with these people.
Flying Kick. You ever do Skyhawks? Was it Skyhawks?
No,
you didn't do Skyhawks?
No.
Huh. I always did Skyhawks camps.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was like everywhere. I don't know.
I never heard of it.
Well, whatever. And then so you're just playing just typical. You're doing different. Did you play other sports too?
I think I did like basketball for like 1 or 2 seasons or something like that, but that was just
nothing.
That was nothing. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
Uh-huh.
It's just the guy run around, get rebounds, play defense.
And then when you started playing soccer, were you always a goalkeeper, or were you like, no, I'm going to play the field?
So I played field until I was 12.
Uh-huh.
I always just kind of like hopped in net because I loved it. I loved diving around and getting dirty. But yeah, primarily a field player until I was 12 or 13 years old, and then that's when I went like full time in goal.
I've heard like from other keepers that's like recommended to do. What do you think?
Yeah, nowadays with the game the way it is, goalkeepers have to play with their feet,
Uh-huh.
and they have to have some sort of understanding of a natural understanding of the game, and which passes to play when, and that obviously you develop over the years of playing in goal and understanding the tactics, but you need sort of a baseline, I guess, of being a field player, seeing the game from that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you kind of like unintentionally did that?
Yeah, I mean, I was always a natural at goalkeeping without too much training. I was always decent. And, playing on the field, I never really thought of, going in goal until a team needed a goalkeeper. It didn't have any options. I was the best option, and I would have been just a simple role player as a field player. I was just going to help the team much more as a goalkeeper, and that's when it kind of all started.
Yeah. I've always wondered that, because from the very beginning, I was like, oh, you mean I have to stand here while people shoot as hard as they can at me? No, I don't want to do that.
It takes a certain mindset.
Yeah.
Some kids, I guess, just have it. You
Yeah.
can kind of tell who's, even from a young age, you can kind of tell, you can tell he's a goalkeeper. But, yeah, it's something that you can develop, but sometimes kids just have it.
Yeah, that's funny. I hate it. And every kid, I feel like, especially when you're like at recreational level, I remember like, who wants to be a goalkeeper? Everyone's like, me.
Yeah.
I was like, no, don't.
Oh, were you even then?
Yeah,
Oh.
even from 5 years old. I mean, I thought the gloves were kind of cool, but like, I was like, I just have to stand back here. I can't go up there. And
You're just in it for the gear.
yeah, just the gear. Yeah. And then so you're playing like just some recreational up. When did you join your first like club team?
I think 7 years old.
7. Hey, Rockford, Michigan. Do you know Ryan Howe?
I don't.
He played at. I don't know if he's from Rockford, Michigan. Oh no. Never mind. I think he's from like Rock something, Indiana, like near Chicago. I don't
This is
know
at
why.
Rockford, Illinois. That's
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's from there. No, never mind. But he played it with me at St. Louis. Okay, so when did you play your first like competitive team?
So yeah, I think
Like
that was
year round.
Year yeah. So club, probably I think 6 or 7 years old. I was playing on like the U9 team or something like that.
Okay.
The club didn't have any age groups younger than that, so yeah, I did that.
So you already knew like, or when you were younger, your parents were still even like, yeah, let's push you up a grade, or push you up a couple years or whatever.
Well, part of that came from my sister's, coaches and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Knew that I was just honestly, I'd hop in with some of their trainings and stuff like that, and just kind of kick the ball around. And the summer camps, obviously, and they knew that I should, be taking it a little more seriously than just playing co-ed or something with my elementary school. They said if I wanted to, I should go play. And so yeah, we just kind of did it maybe like a year or so earlier than what my club had as an age group for me. And just kind of went from there.
Yeah, I always was jealous of like the younger siblings about that, because I was the oldest, and so I had to learn everything.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what club soccer was until it was like my mom picked me up from high school or from elementary school. She's like, I heard about this thing called club soccer. Do you want to try it? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we'll give it a go.
And then my brother came along 4 years later, and it was like, oh yeah, we'll set you up on this club, Is
he the youngest?
Yeah.
Yeah, the youngest man. My youngest brother had everything.
Yeah,
paid
because
well.
your younger brother played too, right?
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And where's he at now?
So he finished up at Michigan State, was his last competitive season playing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I want to say 2015? No, it was like 16, I think.
2016. So is he still trying to play at all, or?
No, he's going to medical school, man.
That's right. I remember that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Tough decision. But.
Yeah. That's sick. How do you like Michigan State? Do you like it?
I think he liked it a lot, honestly. Big Ten schools, like everything's pretty well taken care of.
Yeah, you're really well taken care of. And then so you like 11, or I mean even younger, 7, 8, 9. You're playing up, and then so you said you switched to goalkeeper like 12, 13.
Yeah, it wasn't until later.
What position did you play earlier? Was it just rotate?
I was like a central midfielder or maybe a winger, but it was mostly.
I would love to just pay to see like you or even like Mason or Andrew too, like play in a game like as a winger.
Maybe I'm a bit arrogant, but like I think I could play 6 right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have really, really good left foot and right foot distribution, both sides.
It's obviously as a goalkeeper you have to kind of take some of that responsibility now in this day and age. You have to take some of the responsibility from the 6. So with the ball, it's it wouldn't be too much of a transition. It's just without the ball, it would be.
Yeah, positioning.
That's tough.
I keep imagining in my head. It's kind of funny. And then so then you are just playing around. You're playing kind of different positions. You make the goalkeeper switch to goalkeeper around 12, 13. Mm-hmm. And then do you like instantly love it? Like you were like, this is like I want to do this. This position?
No. Well, so before I made like the permanent transition, I guess you could call it, at 12 or 13, before I'd like hop in for a half or something like that, like they'd split time or something like that. And that was, I think I enjoyed that more because I knew I was like, if it was a boring game, I could just, next half I'm going to be on the field and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But, going over 12 or 13, like this is what you're doing. And you're just in goal the whole time, and sometimes you're just absolutely spanking a team.
Yeah.
Like 10-0 or something like that, and you're standing back there absolutely hating the game.
Yeah.
Just begging for something to do at that age,
Yeah.
But as the level grew and, the pressure grew with it, it was much more interesting to me, and I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I feel like the pressure is, like, even like that's why we like to go and play at higher and higher stakes. It's like the pressure. So it's like it's probably such a high, like to be so intense right around the goal, like it's life or death almost.
Right.
Like it's pretty cool. Even when I made the switch from forward winger to right back, I was like, man, every touch there's way more pressure.
Yeah, less room for error.
Yeah, and I was like complaining about it like my first year, and it was the same thing. Like center back and a goalkeeper were like, well, imagine us. I was like, wow, yeah. So that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you get used to it. And you get to enjoy it too, because there's been times where when you come back from, let's say you go away to college, right, and then you come back and you're just kind of screwing around with friends, playing in the park or something like that. I never want to play goal. I don't want to do it because diving around and stuff like that's cool, all that stuff, but when there's no pressure, it almost doesn't even seem worth it.
Yeah,
when there's like you can't gain anything from it, and it's just not as fun for me. So like I take that time to experience something else and just play small sided on the field or something like that.
Yeah.
It's much more fun.
Yeah, that's like all the keepers I train with in off season. If we play 5-a-side or something, unless we're using the big goals, it's
right.
I want on the field. I want to be on the field. I want to be playing.
Experience something different. It's just not as enjoyable when there's nothing to gain from being in goal.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And then so when did you start, at that age, did you start serious goalkeeper training and everything? Like, did you have a good goalkeeper coach?
I was always kind of dabbling because there was some good goalkeeper coaches in the area. So even when I was like taking a half or something like that, I'd go and train with this guy like maybe once a week or something like that, just because it was fun. And like I said, I love diving around and super active that way. So then just when I went from, playing a half every couple of games to playing every single game in between the pipes, I think I just increased it. I don't know exactly how much I was training back then, but it definitely took a step up.
It makes sense. Did you? I'm not sure. People always have so many questions for like goalkeepers. Always want me to ask like super goalkeeper specific questions.
It's tough.
It is hard. Yeah. I don't even know. But in Michigan, like for example, like so you're training, and you said you train with that guy, and you train with your team and everything. Did you train by yourself at all? And then like how'd you do it in Michigan?
It's almost impossible to train as a goalkeeper by yourself.
Yeah.
You can, but it's very difficult. You have to be really creative with it. So it's always, you have to have, it's just so much easier to have someone to work with.
Yeah.
And I did. I had a couple goalkeeper coaches throughout my youth that were very good.
Yeah, that makes, because I couldn't even, how do you pretend to block a save? But some people ask me that too. It's like when you're, and I've been asked like in off season, especially like when I'm up in Portland and I don't really have any players around me that I know that well to train with. They're like, why don't you ever work on 1v1 defending by yourself? Just imagine like me on the sideline just pretending to mark somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do like speed and agility, but like doing 1v1 defending is pretty much impossible unless you have somebody else to defend.
Right.
Yeah. And then so you're growing up now from like 13, 14, 15. You're getting more and more serious probably every year, playing goalkeeper and soccer in general. Were you with like the same club? Did you make any changes or?
Quite a few changes. Well, all right. So there's probably 2 or 3 clubs that I played for, the group of guys. But one of the groups I was with kept on changing like which club umbrella they were under. So our team name changed like 5 times, I think, in 5 years. But it was the same group of guys, so it was really the same team. And the same coach and everything like that too. So I think I played for 3 clubs growing up.
Okay. And when you entered high school, were you playing with the high school team, or did you do like?
I did high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did freshman year. I made it to the JV team as a field player.
Okay.
And then this is like, I made a decision, if I wasn't going to make varsity, I wasn't going to play in the goal.
Really?
Yeah. So, for, let's see, freshman and sophomore year.
That's such a Sean decision.
Like it's the pressure, and so I played freshman and sophomore year. I think sophomore year I played maybe a few games in goal, but it was mostly on the field. And then when I went up to varsity, I was just strictly in the goal.
Yeah.
But that was, that compared to what we were doing in club soccer. Club soccer, you're there for 9 months out of the year, so that was like the real season for me. And then high school was just for fun.
Yeah.
It was a cool atmosphere because you have your friends and you have a decent crowd there, and it's a lot of fun. But it wasn't what was going to progress my career So
yeah, exactly. That's how I kind of viewed it too. Like, it was a lot. I remember those were my favorite training sessions and like favorite like games too.
Oh, yeah.
You got everybody in the stands is pretty cool. And I remember one of the questions actually, and that reminds me how you like as a freshman coming in as a goalkeeper, unless you are outstandingly better than the senior or junior they have, you're not gonna get time or anything.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, like I was kind of like a late bloomer physically, so I was just like this kid as a freshman. And the other goalkeepers, I think they had two. I think it was a junior and a senior. They were men though, and I was just like this boy. Even though I was like technically better than them, it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
So it was JV, and I was gonna play on the field.
Yeah. Then how is it though? Like when you, because it's like a goalkeeper, I feel like is the hardest position to like to win from somebody and to like earn it, because it's like a lot of even head coaches don't even look at that as closely, even for one.
Sure.
And then two, it's like it's kind of like, oh yeah, we'll just keep, unless that goalkeeper is really making mistakes, then we'll switch it. You know? Did you feel like that? Do you think that's true?
So I think it's a slower process for sort of like the changing of the guard. You need to be better than, if you're going to win the job from someone, you got to be better than them consistently over a longer period of time than, say, a field player. Because I think coaches know this, and this is why the change happens so slowly, is you need consistency back there. And goalkeepers, you don't come in for a half and then, dip your toes in, and then the next game you can start. It's like, if you're in there, you're in there, and then you unless you're playing super safe, which isn't good, you're going to make a few mistakes. And so you can't just one mistake and you switch because the guy's learning. Even experienced guys, when they come in, like, it's still not perfect. It takes maybe a game to get into it. And that's at the highest level. So you get better at it as the older you get. You get more experience. You get better at finding your form earlier on. But it's still a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I like, even because that's what I remember, like, even my first game is like training with Republic or anything. I was like, oh, we'll get you in the exhibition match, second 45 minutes, or even like the last 20 minutes, you know, just so you can get a feel for it. And it was like, that was nice of like, okay, I'm going to come in last 20 minutes. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that with a goalkeeper. Like, we'll put in Sean for the last 20 minutes.
Yes, that doesn't happen.
And then so high school, you're playing basically on the field for your freshman, sophomore year. And then junior, senior year, you're in the goal with the varsity team. You're training with the club team all year round.
Pretty much whenever I wasn't with the high school team.
And then are you still doing individual training with the coaches?
Yeah, of course. So the club that I was with wasn't so well organized that we had one goalkeeper coach to just work with all the club goalkeepers. I just had to go, on my own and find someone to train with that way. But like I said, there was a few options around the area, so I was very lucky that way.
Yeah, I always feel like in America that's one thing we do pretty well, is like the one-on-one coaches, goalkeeper, field player, whatever. There's like a lot of those players that you can find there, at least at like a semi-pro, pro, decent level. Yeah.
I think we get good options. There's like the youth side of the game has been so big for so long that there's always quite a bit of money in it for guys who want to coach and do individual lessons and things like that. And I think it's still transitioning up the ranks, but it's just kind of it's getting bigger and bigger. As the older you go, it kind of starts weeding out, but now it's the popularity is starting to grow older and older we get.
Did you ever do like any development academy, or did you ever do any ODP or anything?
I did ODP for 1 year, I think. And then I never did any of the academies. The nearest academy to me was, I think, 2 hours and 40 minutes away from my house.
Wow.
And that's something that, like I said, with the youngest sibling, it's like kind of paved.
Yeah.
So like my brother actually made that trip and played for one of the academies. But for me, it was just kind of like my parents were kind of like
on the fence about it. Then once they saw that you were being more serious with it.
Yeah. So like once they saw, with me looking for colleges, there was kind of like this stigma if you didn't play for an academy. And so I think once my parents saw that, they were like, all right, my younger brother would be allowed to do that. And for me, who knows what would have happened if I did do it. Maybe I wouldn't even make the team. I was still developing at that age, but
when did you hit your like puberty and like fully become like stronger or bigger?
Oh man, dude, like it was such a 16 through like even into college, I was still like becoming a better athlete every single.
Yeah.
I grew, I think, like an inch in college.
Really?
Yeah. So, even now, like I feel like I'm getting physically stronger every year, but I actually grew an inch in college. So
that's pretty late because I thought I was late, and I think I was done growing by my senior year of high school, but like I was a stick.
Mm-hmm.
I was so tiny up until like junior year of high school. And then so your senior year, did you get recruited your junior or senior year?
I think late in my junior year.
And how did that process go?
I wasn't highly recruited at all,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. I had to go to a bunch of camps and had to email a bunch of coaches, grinding it out.
Yeah,
as many of us did. Yeah, and I ended up having to walk on to like a preferred walk on to the college team, and then 5 games into my freshman year, I think I won the starting job, and
that's early.
Yeah. So I got a lot of experience in baptism by fire, man.
Yeah.
I learned a lot very quickly.
Yeah.
And I made huge strides in that game very quickly.
And
I think that's where I made up most of my ground from some of the other goalkeepers that were significantly better than me in youth soccer.
Just all from so many games.
So many games so early.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows, but I learned a lot very quickly.
Yeah, that's like I feel like that's like exactly the same for me too. Of like, wasn't highly recruited. I never did DA or anything, so it was like I went to like 5-6 different ID camps. I emailed probably 50 plus schools, ranging from D, and I had no idea the level. So I went from the Stanford men's soccer down to the local junior college,
Yep.
And I did everything. And then I was just like, we'll see. I'll figure it out. If I go junior college, whatever. If I go D2, whatever. If I go Stanford men's soccer, sweet.
That's right.
Yeah. So and then same thing when I got into college. It was like that baptism by fire. Like I even thought to myself, you know what? These guys are good. They're big. But then an injury happened. Someone got kicked off the team, and all of a sudden I went from like number 4 striker to like number 2, and then it was like one of the games, same thing. The first preseason game, I'd scored a hat trick in the preseason game. Oh, wow. And then so it was like, okay, we're going to keep going with you.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Let's
here we go. Yeah. And then that's where, again, exactly what you said, made up most of the ground, I feel like, from not playing DA or really even knowing soccer that much earlier. And then so, like you said, you had some like ups and downs in the college.
Of course, man. Yeah, there was, a freshman in the starting lineup. We were a relatively young team, to be fair. Mm-hmm. But even then, maybe one senior would be getting significant playing time. Most of them were juniors or sophomores. But these guys, were looking at me like, just don't mess this up. Like just don't screw it up for us. Yeah. And that's like I said, it was the pressure though, and that's something that you kind of enjoy because every single time you overcome that, it's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah. It's like a high, and you don't get that like adrenaline rush really anywhere else.
Right.
So you want to chase that again, and to succeed with the pressure, that's funny. I remember too is like college, if you had a freshman goalkeeper, and part of the recruiting, like the scouting report, is they have a freshman goalkeeper, fire shots, like
test him early, all that stuff.
And then you went to Oakland University, right?
So I started off at Western Michigan University, and that's where I walked on. Mm-hmm. And then for my senior year, I transferred to Oakland University for purposes of playing professionally. Okay. They have a very good track record of sending specifically goalkeepers to professional soccer.
How was transferring? Was it hard to like leave your team?
It was very difficult. Playing 2.5 years, 3 seasons with these guys, and they're your best friends at that point.
Yeah.
And to transfer to another school, it was only probably like 2.5, 3 hours away. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't across the country or anything like that, but it was still missing out on what senior year would have been. Yeah. It wouldn't have been the right environment for me to try to start my professional career, but it would maybe been more enjoyable to spend that extra year with the guys that I've grown with over the last 2.5 years. But it was a professional decision. I needed to develop. I kind of plateaued, I feel like, at my previous school, and I thought I needed to challenge myself again.
Yeah, that's I mean, I like had some thoughts like in college about transferring just because for one reason or another, you know, like you said, there's ups and downs, but like I really was like, man, it's just would be hard, like friendship wise, like
it's very difficult.
Yeah, so that's impressive to do that your senior year, to take the chance to do like a professional decision.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah. I mean, on top of that too, like my girlfriend, now fiance, I met her at Western.
Oh.
So I transferred away from even that as well.
She wasn't happy.
You know, she's such a trooper. She obviously she wasn't thrilled about it.
Yeah.
But, she knew how serious I was about this, and she even now she says, I don't want you in a couple years saying what if.
Yeah.
So she's very open to that, and she's been amazing, and I think that's part of the reason we've been together so long, and why we're getting married in December. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, anytime that you've been, because we'll talk about it later, but you've been abroad, you've been doing crazy stuff, and she's been like following along. Like any girlfriend, fiance, wife that can follow along a professional soccer player, kudos to them, because it's
incredible.
Yeah, honestly, it's crazy. So you met Sarah in college at Western, and then so you left. How did that season go at Oakland?
So for me, it was I transferred over the winter. So I had a spring season, and then the fall season, and I spent another spring with them.
Okay.
Just to keep on training before I try to make the jump.
Mm-hmm.
And even after the spring, fall, and spring, I was still developing. Mm-hmm. You know, like these guys were. It was like almost a whole new level. Training with the coach that's there. His name's Eric Pogue, and he's produced 3 professional goalkeepers now. 2 of them played in the MLS, and so it was such an incredible experience trying to learn, and it was a new standard too. Yeah. So the spring season was an eye-opening experience, and then the fall was more about, can we implement this in the games, which was a whole new test. And personally, I felt like I did very well in the fall. The team, us as a team, we were above average, but as far as the standard is at that school, it wasn't up to par with other years. And then the spring season, again, it was getting me ready to play professionally, which was again a whole new standard.
Yeah, I see. Did you graduate?
I did not graduate.
So you dropped out too?
Yep. So did probably get it done in one more semester if I have to go back. Yeah.
Yeah. That's hard too. Did people tell you when you were telling people that?
It was so difficult. It was part of the thing where I was trying to get it done in online classes, but so many of them were you have to come in and take the exam, and then you talk to the school and try to, get something, and then they say, oh well, LC, you have to take this class. And at this point, I was I will talk about it. I was on a plane to Australia, so it wasn't always an option. So it's something that I'm planning on going back at after my playing career at some point. You need a college degree, from what I hear, to coach in college, and that's an avenue that I want to keep open for myself. It's probably not my first option I want to do as a coach, but eventually when I do take that step into coaching, I want to have every avenue open to me. So I'll finish that.
Yeah, I remember everybody would say, like, what do you mean you're dropping out? Aren't you, this is your senior year?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know, but like it's January, the USL season's starting.
Clock's ticking. And
so did you try at all that spring or that winter to go to do any like USL Open trials? Or
Yeah, so I did this at that point. They were doing this like USL combine thing, and went down there, and just nothing really panned out for me. It was one of those things where it was so many people there, and it was hard to separate yourself from the however many other goalkeepers that were there.
Yeah.
And most of the stuff that was happening there were just like, okay, we'll bring you into a trial, or here's our open tryout, or here you go. And so I was really faced with either playing another season of PDL the next summer, or I was talking to this agency that sends players to the second division in Australia. And so I said, everyone in America has seen me. Most everyone's made up their mind about me.
Mm-hmm.
I need a new, fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah.
And so I went abroad. It was a decision I made with my girlfriend at the time. It was a big decision, but like I said, she was obviously all for it.
Yeah.
And so I signed a contract with a team in the NPL in Australia. It was the second division there.
Mm-hmm.
And I flew out there in January.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah came a month or two after me.
Mm-hmm.
And spent a full season there.
Okay.
It was a crazy experience. It was really good though.
Yeah. So you did you were at Oakland training all spring, and then did you wait for the next one, or did you go early?
So what happened was, did the spring training
Mm-hmm.
into the USL combine happened over the winter.
Uh-huh.
I went back to school and did the spring training, and then over the summer played in PDL season.
Uh-huh.
And then the next winter went to Australia.
It's like very similar to what I did. Same thing. Like I tried in the USL with open tryouts. I had a couple trials even. Nothing really panned out.
Right.
Like the same combine experience.
It's
Combines are tough.
a lot of college players looking to do the same thing. It's very hard.
Yeah. Everybody's, and you have to make it through that first year of weeding everybody out. And then I think it's smart too to go abroad to get a fresh set of eyes and to a resume builder.
Right.
Because you playing in NPL in Australia, I went over to Germany, but that's it's like, oh, he's doing something different than besides college PDL.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, it's like I did the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So you went to Australia, and how was that experience?
So it was you
were in Tasmania.
Tasmania is the state island south of Melbourne. It was, man, such a emotionally trying thing to do, to move away from.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought transferring schools 2.5 hours away was tough.
Yeah.
But you're moving across the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just sitting in the plane just thinking, what the hell am I doing? This better work out. Like you're psyching yourself up for it. But
yeah,
once you get there, you start making friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to keep an open mind and be sure of yourself and keep on reminding yourself of why you're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And the club there was amazing. I played for Olympia FC. They took care of me amazing. Like everything was taken care of. They helped me out. They understood, players moving across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So they made it very easy for me and Sarah, and it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But I know that feeling on the plane where it's like a weird mix of you're really excited for something new, you're excited to go try and play for a new team, but at the same time you're like, what am I doing? And then also like when you're over there, you're at least you had Sarah come over too,
right.
But even you were almost lonely together, like probably out there.
Yeah, it was difficult for her as well. I mean, almost even more so than me, because she's doing this for someone else's dream.
Yeah.
And that's a whole new level.
Mm.
So it was a lot of nights, talking about, we're trying to make friends, and we're talking about like, all right, are we going to stay here another year?
Mm.
Things happen where maybe soccer's not going that well, and then it seems like all this is for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really think like that. You just have to keep an eye on your process of getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy seeing different cultures and different people in living abroad,
mm-hmm.
which is something that a lot of people don't get to do.
Yeah.
So I think just looking at it as a privilege, and of having this opportunity to live abroad and really have an excuse to do it, I think is what I ended up settling on. Is I have an excuse to meet all these people and travel the world.
Yeah.
And make money while I'm doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and you always it's funny because when you're going through it too, I don't want to say you at the moment you it's worse, but because you have awesome moments, you have bad moments, but you're lonely and you're kind of what am I doing? But then when you look back at it, I look back at Germany, I was by myself and I was so lonely 90% of the time. But I have a lot of nostalgia about Germany.
Yeah. So you find things that you absolutely love about it.
Yeah.
And for you, I think it was completely different because, did everyone speak English? Did you have to?
No, it was a lot of like, oh, hello, sprechen Sie English? And they're like 9. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, awesome. But even if every single one of your teammates did speak English, it wasn't like the locker room banter wasn't in English. You know, like
that was tough.
Their first language German, and so you're sitting there trying to learn a second language and keep up. I mean, I know you like to be a part of like the banter. You like to joke with guys.
Yeah,
and that's like one of the last things to happen once you learn a second language. So I think that's a whole new level from me going to Australia, where everyone. At times you could say it's not English, but
it kind of is like the jokes, the slang. Sometimes you're like,
it's very different.
What's so funny about that?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, this means this.
One of the simplest things threw me off, and it was crazy. It was such a trip. You get there, and people ask you, "How are you going?"
Yeah.
Instead of "How are you doing?"
Yeah.
And so you're like, good. And they're like, oh yeah. But like, it took me a week, and before I finally asked one of the guys that I got to know for like, what is this about? And he's like,
how you going?
I was like, I'm walking.
I mean, I'm gonna take the car.
Yeah.
I mean, how am I going? I just took a car here. No, yeah, I remember. Yeah, and then even in England when they say you all right, and I always thought like, is something? Do I look bad?
Yeah.
Am I okay?
Am I not?
Yeah. But it is. It's like the little things. Like even when Sheldon was here, I'd like ask him simple questions. He'd be like, "What?"
Oh yeah, he would.
Yeah. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, well we say slightly different, but I get what you're saying."
It's the little things. Yeah, it's the little things.
And then how was the soccer there? How did you develop your game? Did you like it there?
I had when I showed up there, I was established as the #1 goalkeeper, and so that allowed me to really develop my game and really work on things. We had a long preseason, so that was much of that. But even in games, I got to build my confidence with. One of the things was I was playing very high on crosses. So when the ball was out wide, I'd be like on top of my 6 or really challenging myself that way.
Yeah.
And a big part of the game down there is the aerial balls into the box. You deal with a lot of those. So that was a good test for me. And also I had a lot of freedom to kind of tinker with my game and develop that way. So I think it was a fantastic experience for me.
Yeah. And then the season goes from what, like March to August, or is it longer?
So the season, I think the official first game of the season, they do like a preseason tournament that they take pretty seriously. But I think the official start of the season was early March, and then they go until I want to say late September. I'm gonna say September.
Okay.
So don't quote me on that.
Yeah, somebody comments.
Yeah.
What an idiot! He doesn't even know when it starts and ends.
It's been a few years. Sorry, guys.
What year was that?
That was 2015.
2015. Okay. That was the same for me. 15 to 16 was. I was in Germany. And then what happened after the season?
After the season, I organized a trial with an A-League team. My team did quite well, and I was doing quite well. So we got some attention that way. I was able to organize a trial, and but that wasn't for maybe another few weeks. So I was coaching young players, but also like hopping in with them because I wanted to train still. So I was calling people up, everyone who's still in town, let's go train. And so I did that for I think 2.5, 3 more weeks after the season ended, and then and went on trial, and I think I was on trial for 2 weeks after that.
Do you want to say what team that was?
Yeah, so I went on trial with the Central Coast Mariners. Found out it's a big step up from the NPL to the A-League. Also found out that it is increasingly difficult as the level goes up. You have to be so much better because of international spots.
Yeah.
In the U.S., I think we have 7 spots per team.
Yeah.
But you can acquire more, and if a player gets a green card, they don't count anymore.
Yeah.
In Australia, it's 5 non-citizens.
Oh, wow.
And at least that's how I understood it. And so I went on trial there. I think there was 1 spot left, and they ended up signing after they said no to me. they ended up signing like a marquee player, like someone who came in and made like $1 million a year or something like that. So it was incredibly difficult, but I learned a lot. It was a great experience to see that level. The A-League is a very good level. So and doing that abroad as well was
because that's what's so hard is like even something simple like I was in second division Iceland, and same thing, they said we have one because you only get 3 foreigner international spots there, and they were like, we already have 2 wingers. We want another winger, so let's see it. And they brought in at that same trial with me 3 other American Canadians that came in, and then from the 4 of us they picked one of us. Right. And I was like, and everybody else on the team, you're like, nobody else is. I mean, they were good players. Don't get me wrong. Everybody on the team was good, but you could kind of feel like, yeah, I'm at the top end of the level here. But they want you to be the marquee player, and then you bring in the other guys. Now you're not just competing with that team; you're also competing with everybody else they're bringing in.
Right.
And they bring in some bigger names. They've had MLS experience even.
Yeah.
And so you're like, wow, okay, this is like a shock. You're like, okay, this is harder than I thought it was going to be.
And so the way, I mean, in Australia, I think the second division has, in Tasmania you have 3 international spots. In the mainland you have 2. So when my team won the state league and went to the national tournament, one of the international guys just couldn't go.
Really?
Yeah, so they had to drop one of us.
Wow.
And the way I saw it, man, you have to be, as an international, when there's that few spots, you have to be one of the 3 best players in the team, or one of the 3 best players as far as helping the team. You might, you might be just that much better than the second guy that they need you to be there. But yeah, it's added pressure, which again just makes it all the more fun. But yeah, so on trial with the A-League, I was going there and I was probably on par for being like a backup or something like that at that level, or maybe even a 3. They saw me, but it just wasn't worth the international spot for them to sign me, which. Fair enough. Yeah,
it makes sense. But it's frustrating. Like,
oh, yeah.
And then so after that, what happened? Did you come back here?
So I decided I wasn't going to go back to the NPL. I decided this was a decision that Sarah and I kind of made together. It was just, do we want to spend another year abroad? We decided to come back to America. I was going to take my chances with my new and improved resume that I now have, whereas before, like, it really wasn't a resume, just college. So came back to America, just started sending out emails every single day to professional USL. I think I hit every single NASL and USL team. I sent emails to, I think, every single one of them. Apart from maybe a couple of the MLS reserve teams, because I know that the youth was their main priority. Is promoting youth. So, outside of maybe 5 or 6 teams in the USL, I sent them to everyone. I think I got 3 replies. 2 of them were thanks but no thanks. And then one of them was from Tony Mula, the head coach of Jacksonville, Jacksonville Armada, and he said, "Can we fly you in tomorrow?" And so just immediately, and
let me check.
Started packing my stuff. I'm on the phone with like my mom and Sarah, like just like, all right, I'm leaving.
Were you in Australia flying, or were you?
No, I had already been back in America training with no end in sight.
How hard is that to train with no end in sight?
Difficult. You're training. You don't have a club. You don't know if anything's gonna happen. You don't even know if you have an opportunity. And I'm training. It's snowing outside. I'm training indoors. It's like cabin fever almost, and that was a trying time. That was.
I think that's the hardest because like at first you come back like and you're excited and you're like, oh, now we're gonna focus on what I want. After a couple of weeks, it starts to get boring, and then you, like we said, you have no team to like for sure spot or even a trial lined up. So you're like, am I doing all of this for nothing?
Right.
And then you're kind of like, then you start losing motivations. Your training sessions start dropping in quality. And like, not many people understand like how hard that is to do. It's tough. But so then Jacksonville did it, and that was probably like, can we fly you out tomorrow? You're like, yep.
I was gone the next day.
And then how was that?
I was on trial for a week before they signed me. So that was. I mean, I was super excited to be there, and it was a great level. So, and the team treats their players very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so thrilled to be there at first that, I mean, I was like, part of goalkeeping is calming yourself down before the shot comes to make sure that you don't have any wasted movement or anything like that. It's kind of technical, but I was so jumpy that like at first I wasn't catching balls that I should, and I was so excited that it wasn't until the second day where I found my groove, so to speak,
mm-hmm.
and really got it really showed really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said too, like how important it is to like email and to reach out to as many teams as you can, because it's like it's less about, oh yeah, here's a pro team in my local area, take me. It's like you need to find a team that needs a goalkeeper, and Jacksonville was probably in need of a goalkeeper.
And I had no agent.
Yeah.
The agency I was working with only had contacts in Australia, and I already decided I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah. So
coming back to America, no agent at all, and it's different and it's weird when you're speaking on behalf of yourself to these clubs. Yeah. You're saying like, hey, this is my highlight video. This is me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like someone else saying like, hey, this is a good goalkeeper. Like,
check trust my word. Yeah. I've sent you good players. Trust me.
There's no relationship. You're just out of the blue, highlight video. This is my resume. You type it like highlights of your resume in the email to make sure if they don't even open it, they see it. Yeah. And it's just throw as many out as you can to everyone. Yeah. It was a lot of sleepless nights, but worth it.
Yeah. No, and so many players go through that, and it's tough because it weeds out so many players that they spend a month of that and they're like, what? This isn't fun.
Yeah. It's so many players, if it doesn't fall into their lap, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, and some players do get lucky. Like, there's a lot of players I've even talked to. It's like, so you went to Sac State, and then you signed immediately with Sacramento Republic, and you've been there now for 3 years?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm like, how'd you get the contract? I just saw my game, and I got a contract the next week. I'm like, what?
Good for you.
I was like, yeah. But then at the same time, though, 3 years later, they're out of the game sometimes. I mean, sometimes they're still playing, but sometimes they're out of the game because they, at one point or another, whether you're 18, 21, 25, you're going to go through that period.
Yeah.
And if you can make it through, then it's great.
Matt, sometimes I think that the only reason I've been able to play for as long as I have and I've made the improvements that I have to my game is because so many people told me I wasn't going to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. I had so much resistance for so long that I'm just used to it. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of drives me. You could use like the slingshot, metaphor. The harder you pull it back, the faster it's going to go forward. I kind of look at it that way, where people who don't receive resistance, when they get it, they don't really know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. So, and that's not true for everyone. Yeah. But, outside of the top 5% of the professional prospects coming into the USL and MLS, I think everyone else is going to receive significant resistance at some point. Yeah, 100%. So it's important how you handle that.
That's true. It is really, really true. And it's like, you got to get used to it. You're like, oh, well, this club saying no to me is not anything new to me. So, going a few months of where I don't have anything to do, like even like the first off season where I had nothing was way, way harder on me than like even last off season when I had like for 2 or 3 months. I was kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I kind of told myself, well, something will pop up. You kind of almost lie to yourself sometimes, but like you're like, yeah, something will come up. But you still are like, I don't know if anything's going to come up. But it's easier even then than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And that's, I think that was a big part of my transfer too, is because I wasn't getting any resistance. It was just kind of the guy there, and it wasn't being challenged. And the goalkeeping training was adequate, but it wasn't the next level. Yeah. And so when I decided to transfer, the first thing that they had me do was train with 2 of the guys who already went pro, 2 of the other goalkeepers that already went pro before me, and they just destroyed me.
Really?
Yeah. The training that they put me through, and it was in the middle of the winter, so I hadn't stayed in shape that well over the winter. I was just planning on like building my fitness over the spring. Yeah. And taking Christmas and the holidays off. And so when I came in there, basically right after New Year's, I was just out of my depth with this training session that they put me through. And these guys weren't shy too. Yeah. They're like, why? Like they're looking at Eric Poe like, what's with this kid? Yeah. Like, And honestly, I loved it. I was on the phone with my mother, like driving back from, back home to spend the rest of the break with my family. And my mom asked me, "Oh, how'd it go?" And I'm like, "Well, he told me that I sucked, but like I kind of like it because it's something that I hadn't really felt in a long time. And it was super motivating. And I remember feeling extremely motivated, and it's something that
because you can see it. You're like that is what I can get to. Yeah. I remember like as in same thing in college. 4 years I was like starting striker now, scoring goals. It was, and I had a good career, but I always wanted to push it to be better. But like I was almost comfortable in that little bubble of training.
Sure, yeah.
And then I got to Sacramento Republic, and I was the season ticket holder for the Rondos every single day. And people were like, I'd be walking to training. It's like, Matt, do we even want to start on the outside? Or do you just want to start in the center?
Or just stop in?
And I was like, fuck. And it was like they were making fun of you, but it was like to push you, and then you are frustrated and mad about it. So then you work harder. Yeah. But it's all the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just motivation.
Yeah.
And if you react to it well, then you're just gonna get better.
Yeah. And then how did the season at Jacksonville go then?
That was another difficult. The first half of the season, I got 0 games. Like I think I played combined like 90 minutes total out of like 8 preseason games, and so it was just like a couple minutes here, like a half here, another couple minutes here. And that was something that I wasn't really used to because, like I said, I started as a freshman in college, so I never was a solidified backup for like an entire season, and so that was an emotionally difficult time because I'm trying to measure like, all right, what should I be doing now?
Yeah.
And you're fresh all throughout the week because you're not really worried about games, so like you have this so much more energy to spend during training. If you know you're going to be, I was the third for a long time, and if you know you're going to be third, you're not going to be on the bench. There's no way they need you. Yeah. So you do so much extra stuff, it's extra work with the training. You're staying after with the guys to shoot, take shots, and work on your distribution and take crosses. And it was a different experience, but it was an important experience.
Yeah. And then second half went better.
So, in the way the NASL worked at that point was they had a mid-season break, and all my conversations, the couple conversations that I had specifically about my game and development were just, specific tidbits that I needed to work on to be a starter. This is the head coach would say, this is where I see the other guys excelling more than you, and this is where like this is good, but you need to, and so whole time I'm just working on this, and some of it was stuff that you only could practice in training and in game situations, which was difficult, but it was so good for me to realize that even if I'm technically better or a better athlete than these guys, like there are certain things that they see that I don't, that I need to work on. Yeah. And so when I came back from the summer break that we had in between the the spring and fall season, I ended up starting the first game because I improved so much that when we came back to training, the coaches saw that I had kind of started to implement those things that they've been working with me on, and then I played a significant amount of games just straight in a row. Just a lot of games right away. It was almost baptism by fire.
Again.
It was a really big, it was another period of good growth with me. Yeah.
It's kind of funny, like every year has been like something, like some sort of resistance, of like whether being abroad or being, started the backup or whatever. But yeah, and then it just develops you in a different way, which is pretty cool to hear. Yeah. And then so this was like NASL, Jacksonville Armada, that was like big games, big teams that you're playing against and everything.
There were a lot of very, very experienced players.
Yeah.
And very good players that have incredible resumes. I remember asking one of my teammates, like, who's the best player you've ever played against? I didn't really know all of his resume, and so I was kind of shocked when he just, like, without really thinking, he just goes, Ronaldinho. I go, yeah. What? He's like, yeah, I played against him in the Champions League. I was like, all right, cool.
Sweet. And he's like, what about you?
Yeah, and then you just, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
That's insane, though, because I remember you even told me, like, broke down even more of your teammates and stuff. It's like, wow.
There's a lot of, and then you start playing against these guys too that like come straight from La Liga or one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. They come straight from that team to playing against you, and sometimes it's intimidating. And at first it was, but then you just start seeing them for what they really are, and they see the game faster and they'll make decisions faster, but they're not superhuman.
Yeah.
Like what's different is up here for them. They're going to break down the game faster and be able to make decisions faster, and that's what you have to account for.
Yeah, and I've tried to talk about this too, and a lot of people have brought this up too that have played NASL or higher levels, or even USL, where they've brought in other players that have played higher level. But it's like, it's hard to say because you don't want to sound cocky, but you're like, the level, honestly, as you get closer and closer up into the pro game, even between you're looking at these players and you're like, well, it's really just tiny little things.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say because you're like, oh, sure, you're right behind a La Liga guy.
No, it's tiny things, but it's also consistency of those tiny things.
Yeah.
And sometimes their quality is hidden by the guys around them aren't on the same page or aren't at the same speed as them. So sometimes their teammates will slow them down for you. But sometimes it just comes through where they do something and you're like, I'm not sure how you saw that.
Yeah.
But good for you. I'll make sure I know that's a possibility next time.
I remember with Orange County, though, we got this number 6, Richard Chaplow, who played for Sunderland and played over in EPL for years. He's coaching there now as assistant coach. And one time the ball bounced into him from he was facing his left back or something, and the striker popped it to him. And I swear I was looking at him for the whole time. I was right back, pushed up, and one time left footed, just bing, straight into the corner for me. Right, yeah. Perfect ball. But I was still standing there like, oh, whoa.
Almost didn't even make the run.
And he looks at me and I'm like, next time. Yeah. I see it. I got it. I'm learning.
That's
but that's the thing that you said. They see it. So that's awesome. The baptism by fire, got a whole bunch of games in. And then would you kind of finish out the season with them then, playing?
Yeah, so I spent the whole year with them. We had a coaching change at one point, and the new coach went back to the guy who's playing before me. So that was, emotionally it was tough, but again, great experience. You have to grow, and I think that was a big part of maturing as a goalkeeper when you lose your spot, and you have to. And it's not necessarily something you did. You didn't really make a huge mistake during a game. You didn't do one thing that you can just point to and be like, all right, don't do that next time. It was just simply another opinion that came in.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge test of my maturity. Yeah. And it really made me grow that way. Yeah. So it's just so many different years of so many different areas of adversity, I guess you could say. And it really pulls you in different directions, and it makes you really be down to earth, and all this makes you just focus on, like I said, your process of getting better. Because if a new opinion comes in and it's not the one you like, what are you going to do about that right now? You're going to stop getting better?
Yeah, exactly.
So you just have to kind of bring it back to something that you can control, which as a goalkeeper we talk about a lot, because sometimes you can't control things. Like something breaks down and the guy pings in the upper 90, it's not even one that you can save. Are you going to lose your mind over that? No, you focus on what you can control. So that was, I think that was a main focus of me at that point, was just, okay, what can I control? What can I work on? Back to the improvement side of things, and get ready for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I like that. It is a game of preference. Sometimes you, for whatever reason, it's just the coach is going, you know what? I'm feeling this player today. And you're kind of and at the moment, kind of all the focus is shifted to the guy that got the call up. Yeah. And not much attention on the guy that just I just lost my spot. What happened? Yeah. And it's hard when you're younger to not completely shut down. But yeah.
When you're younger, you take it so personally. Yeah. And you're so emotional about it. But as you get older, you realize that it's the coach's job on the line too. Yeah. And so he has to play who he is comfortable with, whether he can verbalize it to you or not, where he can somehow describe to you what he sees in the other guy compared to you or not. He's going to go with what he trusts. Yeah. And that's what is so hard to see sometimes, but as you get older, you kind of understand it.
Yeah. And then, so end of the season, what happened then?
End of the season, the club went through a bit of a financial crisis. They signed my option to come back the next year as a number 2, and so my role was pretty solidified in their eyes. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be better than this new guy, whoever you bring in, and I'm going to win the spot. Unfortunately, I didn't get that chance once the ownership left in December, and they left the league, so all of our contracts were void at that point. And so they only brought back a handful of guys that they could afford to, and the rest of us were left trying to find a new club in January and February, which is
that 2017?
That was 2017. Yeah, so 20 after the season 2016, going into 2017.
Yeah.
And as you know, trying to find a club in January and February is a difficult thing.
It's a nightmare. Most of the starting roles are solidified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even backup roles by that time are solidified.
Yeah, it was another time where I'm scrambling, sending out emails. Still didn't have an agent at this point. I had been contacted by a few guys, one of them overseas, but it was one of those things where I was absolutely scrambling.
Yeah, and it's hard too because it's like you don't want to sound arrogant, but you almost feel like you're back to square one sending out those emails, and you're like, why? You feel like you have more experience. You feel like you've done all this, and you're kind of like, now I'm back doing the same thing that I was doing back in 2015,
it's
2014.
Yeah.
It's tough.
You think you have your resume now,
and
you're above that.
Yeah.
But honestly, you never really can be completely past that, because if you still want to play, you still want to make something of your career as a footballer, you can't be above that.
Yeah, I just had Manny on here last week, and he went from four seasons with Fort Lauderdale Strikers in the NASL, starting and playing almost every game, and then one season going for an entire season with nothing, and then played PDL, just for the end of the season, And he said the same thing. That's like, he was even turning down USL, but he was like, I got humbled, how quickly tides can turn, especially during that time, 2017, 2018, when teams were starting to fold.
And then the next off season, I think the rest of the league completely collapsed as well.
Yeah.
And that was, a lot of players went without jobs.
Yeah.
And the money wasn't great for, I think, anyone. If they're negotiating their contract at that time.
It was like, just please give me. I'll just take it.
It wasn't a very good time for leverage for players.
That's why I had to go down to New Zealand.
Yeah. So a lot of players had to either go abroad or stop playing.
Yeah. But then February, January, you're sending out emails. You're back to it.
Yeah, man.
And what happened?
Again, just sending out a bunch of emails, talking to a bunch of different guys. I ended up getting again. I had to go on trial with Harrisburg City Islanders, and that was one where they had already spent their money to bring in a number 1, and so that was going to be their guy. They're like, "Yep, we have a 2 role that we're still looking to fill," and they said to me, right up front, this is the money we have to fill that role. Are you okay with this? Otherwise, don't even come on trial. And I was just like, yep, okay, let's do it. So, obviously I'm going on trial with them and training with them every day, but I'm also still sending out emails.
Yeah.
And still looking for another option if this one doesn't work out, where am I going next? But luckily that worked out, and I got to spend 2 seasons with that club, and really sort of gave me the opportunity to have a bit more consistency as far as I know where I'm going to be next year, and it is a bit of a different experience that way.
Yeah. When did they sign you for the following season? What month was it?
They kind of let me know really early on that you're going to be staying with us. What role that was going to be under was kind of undecided, but they knew they wanted to keep me around. I had indications, almost mid-season, but I guess the official decision wasn't made until when the options have to be picked up.
November 1st, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. But the deadline is when they officially said, okay. But
of course, the deadline.
Right, the deadline.
Yeah. How was it in Harrisburg? How'd you like it there?
It was a small club. The city it had a great history,
Mm-hmm.
but with some of the new improvements they tried to make to the club and try to improve the experience for the players. They're trying to balance that with keeping it small enough to where the fans would be interested in it.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a balancing act like the whole time I was there. But the club had so much history with the city, and it was just they had the same head coach for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very very interesting to learn about the history there and see how they've grown with the USL.
Yeah, because they're one of the older clubs, right?
Yeah, they were. I think I don't know if I want to say like one of the founding clubs.
Yeah.
But I think the head coach when I was there the first year had his job for like 14 years or something like that. So they were around for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. And then the next year, is that when they changed to Penn FC?
Yeah, so they did a rebranding.
Uh-huh.
Again, trying to improve a lot of different things and trying to keep the fan base involved.
Yeah.
It was Penn FC, and then still played in the same stadium though. A lot of the same front office.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same club, just
Yeah.
rebranding.
And then so you were with them all that 2 years then. So you're the first year then with Harrisburg City Islanders, and then basically Penn FC, even though it was the same club
Right,
for the
yeah.
next year. How was it though having to come back to the club? Because this is your first time, right? That you.
Yeah, at that point it was the first pro team that I was able to return to.
Yeah.
And work with some of the same guys
Mm-hmm.
and build our chemistry even further.
How was that? I'm still looking to do that.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
it's really good. It's worth it too. I don't know why so many teams don't. I don't know why more teams don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
because even with the same players, everyone always improves.
Yeah.
And working with each other, you improve as a group.
Yeah.
So seeing that pay dividends was just kind of solidified in my mind that like it's always good to work with the same guys for an extended period of time.
Yeah. I know, even like from the start of the season to now, like when I get the ball, like little simple things of like even looking for the run,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not looking for Toby to make the corner flag run.
Yeah.
Like I get the ball and I know immediately who I can really ping it into, who I should play into space, it's crazy much you learn.
Yeah, you learn tendencies and also like if you're working with the same coach, you learn the system even further.
Yeah.
And you see like at the highest level, you could take Pep Guardiola for example. With Man City, he was saying very early on that we're not going to have the results the first year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. These guys need to learn for a
Yeah.
year, and we replace a piece here, move someone here, and tinker it. But
Yeah.
the same could be said for this level as well.
Yeah.
You grow with each other, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, that's why I was pretty bummed when at St. Louis in 2017,
Sure.
brought a new coach, literally brought in 23 new guys.
It's usually how it goes. Yeah.
And then we didn't have the best season,
Mm-hmm.
and then see ya. Everybody else will cut in 23
Yeah.
guys, kind of coach, and it was like hard because it was like, I mean, you can see why. Obviously, they invested a lot of money.
Sure.
We didn't perform, but at the same time, you're like, man, what I would give to have another year to try to like build on that.
As a player, you see it too, because the little doubt and hesitation leads to bad timing
Mm-hmm.
at any point in the game or on the field. Like that's crucial.
Yeah.
So another year playing with the same group of guys is very beneficial.
Yeah. And then so after, were you the starter for both years or?
No, so I was coming into Harrisburg. I was
you signed as the backup.
I signed as the 2, and then I think I got like 8 or 9 games just throughout the year. They trusted me, so they put me into this game or that game. They wanted to keep me happy, so they gave me time. The other goalkeeper wasn't doing bad by any means, so they didn't see a reason to really switch it. And then the following year, supposed to come in as the number 1. Everything lined up. This in my mind solidified. We're gonna go there. We're gonna have a great season.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2 weeks before preseason, the new coach signed someone else that he trusted more to come in as the number one, someone that he knew from before. And it was just back to, it was almost like a repeat. You know, like I was trusted. I think I got like 11 games or something like that.
Yeah.
I was trusted. They put me in this game, that game, but it was a tough time.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah. There's so much adversity, man. But like that kind of stuff really builds your character. Though, you know, like you've been through so much that you don't really let things get to you as much anymore.
Yeah.
And it's so motivating to have that happen, that you're just, you could let it get you down, but it could also just propel you to do so much more. Yeah.
I like quoted like pretty much that, like when I first found out that I got the sports hernia this year, like I posted a picture and I said like that. It's like when it's like you've been through so much adversity, like you gain a new perspective on new obstacles or something.
Yeah.
Because it was like that, because I got it, and that was the third time I would need surgery like there. So I was like, but at that time I was like, oh, what? It's fine. Like, no, I'll be back 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I've been through this. It's no big deal. Well, it was the first time I was devastated. Like I thought season or career ending.
Right.
I was in a really bad mental spot. And like this one, I was just like, no, I just wanted to hurry up. Because like, the faster we do this, the faster I can get back. It's no worries. It was like literally all I could think about was, it's fine. It's just let's do it. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird how the difference of mentality it was from the couple of years. And it's the same thing when you get put as the backup or like the same role. You've been through it. You're like, oh, I came out the other end from this. So. Yeah. And
you know, it's like I always kind of frame it when I talk about it. It's just like it's gonna make one hell of a story.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be a crazy story one day. How I came through this and came out on top.
Yeah. I mean, already like every single year, it sounds like there's been something.
It's been a bumpy road,
yeah.
But you know, it's been so fulfilling though. Making through all this adversity and overcoming these obstacles. Yeah. It's you would think that it would discourage me, but it doesn't. It's like it's fulfilling almost.
Yeah, that's good. And then so after Harrisburg, you went over. You were talking with Tulsa, and then you also kind of like went abroad for a little bit as well.
So I one of my teammates actually from Penn FC knew that I was looking for a new opportunity, and he knew my quality, but he also knew that I hadn't played too many games. So he kind of was one of the more experienced guys, and he kind of put a good word in with one of the agents that he had a good relationship with. And so I had someone working for me in the U.S., and then at the same time, I'm never one to just be settled for one option and wait, because I've had that kind of bite me in the butt before. So, I was always looking for another option, just in case this one didn't work out or whatever, if this other thing worked out better. So I ended up going over to Denmark on trial with a club there, and I actually got the contract offer for Tulsa while I was on trial with another team in Europe. So it was kind of one of those things where I asked for a meeting with the coach over in Europe. I said, hey, I have this contract offer, so I need to make a decision. It was kind of one of those things where it forced them to make a decision, and it was I think it worked out for the best.
And then you obviously ended up signing with Tulsa.
Ended up signing for Tulsa, and it's been another wild ride, but it's been a great decision. Being in the U.S. is great. It's comfortable. Yeah. But it's uncomfortable at the same time because it's a great level. Yeah. It's very testing.
Yeah. But it is nice to play. Everybody, Americans speaking English. You're like,
sure. Yeah.
Sometimes in the locker room, you never know. Sometimes there's Portuguese or something.
We got a lot of cultures.
We got a lot of cultures. But yeah, no, you played in cities that you know and fans. Everything is cool. Yeah. But how was Denmark? How long were you over there, and how was that experience?
2 weeks, I think.
What city were you in?
I was just outside of Copenhagen.
Okay.
It was.
Copenhagen's nice, huh?
Yeah, it was a great time. So after I signed my contract with Tulsa and my future was clear, like one of the guys that I was kind of getting along with there, him and I just went around Copenhagen for a day.
That's cool, yeah.
And that was kind of a cool experience. But the club there was It was another club with history. So like everything was so defined with the the town there and everything. The club was so ingrained in everything.
Yeah.
It was incredible to see. From the youth club up to the senior team, everything was in the same area. You walk to training every single day. They have the house for the players, and everything's taken care of, food, Wi-Fi, all of your phone and everything like that. So it was cool to see. It was also cool to see the slightly different perspective they have about the game. Much less physically demanding, much more mentally demanding.
Yeah.
As far as your decisions on the ball and off the ball.
Yeah.
And where to be and when to be there. Much more demanding that way, but physically it wasn't quite the same as here. So
USL's, I feel like, probably the most physically demanding, sprinting, running, cutting, jumping, tackling league that I've been in.
Yeah, it's a much faster pace. Even at the MLS level, I think it's incredibly fast paced. You see some of these teams that play a counterattack brand, but especially in the USL, sometimes you can get a little helter skelter. With these people, just sometimes you make a mental error and you play a ball you shouldn't or whatever. That's something that there would be zero room for, and even at a decent level at Europe. And over here, they would be screaming at the Europeans because why can't you run like this for 90 minutes? Why can't you do doggies up and down the whole time? Or maybe not the most explosive athletes. So it's just different. Yeah.
It's Matt, slow down. Slow down. I was like, wait, sorry.
Yeah, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah.
It was really good to see that other side of things, because even in Australia abroad, it was very much like the U.S. as far as the fast pace. Always trying to catch the other team out if you can.
Yeah.
And I was on one of the teams that kept the ball the most, so it was kind of a balancing effect. But some of these other teams, man, like as soon as you get the ball, you're going forward. And you're forcing the team to make decisions, and
it's like the quantity over quality.
Like 50 attacks and
one's gonna work out. That's cool though. And then was it difficult to try to like going, because if you had two different decisions right there, it's like you are kind of imagine your life like two different ways. How did you like make the decision? Is this a completely gut thing where you like
the club over there was very upfront with me. When I went over there, they had a goalkeeper that they really trusted, and so that was a guy that had a bit of a transfer value on him, so he could be moving on at any point. But while he was there, he was going to be the guy. I think he's like third or fourth in the Danish national team or something like that. So he was a younger guy too. So he was a guy that they were looking to develop, and it was going to be about him. So if I was going to come in there, it was going to be to be a backup, or maybe prove myself. So when they do move on, like he could move on, and I would fill that role. But it was going to be something I would have to wait for, and I'm 27 years old, and I don't think that was the right role for me at that point. So I felt like the option here in Tulsa was the right move for me.
That makes sense. And then that pretty much brings us to this year. You're in Tulsa. How's this? You've had some concussion and some like muscle injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
But how's this season been for you and everything?
When personally, I felt like I've made strides in my own game and in making in working with the back line and making everything flow well. As far as it's getting on the same page with your defenders, and especially center backs, is very important for a goalkeeper. And with me being with injury a couple times this year, it's kind of interrupted that process. But despite that, I felt like we've progressed.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is very important for me, especially solidifying myself as a number one. And in those decisions that earlier on in my career that were being pointed out by coaches saying like, this isn't the right decision here, you should have seen this, or the other guys were doing better than me. I feel like I'm proving that I've progressed in that area as well, and so I see the game better, and I'm making better decisions that way. And then of course I feel like I'm becoming a better athlete every year, and I feel like I'm improving my positioning, obviously, and my technique is always improving, and I'm always retinkering it and reworking it in the off season and trying to improve it.
Yeah, how much better do you feel as a player and goalkeeper now compared to like when you were headed to Australia?
Exponentially.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's incredible. Just the way you see the game changes a little bit. When you're younger, for me it was like I was like frantic. I look back at some of the stuff I'm doing, it's like it's frantic. It's not as, and now it's much more. I'm just as quick, but it's less frantic.
Yeah.
So
it's exactly the same. 100%. Like the frantic is exactly. It wasn't out of control. Sometimes it's out of control, but it's just a little like take a deep breath. Options are gonna open up.
Sometimes it's body language too.
Yeah. I told myself too. It's like because even watching myself and dissecting on film, I'm like, I do look like a little like frantic. Like if I was a defender marking me, like go at it. Like let's do that. So it's just like just be cool. Like it's like I always tell myself almost like Luca. Luca's so chill on the field, so suavidad. And I'm like that is like I've taken stuff like from Luca.
Sure.
Like it's just the ball comes to him and he doesn't get pressured as much because he looks so confident on the ball. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, people. If you're calm, you're going to take a better touch, and then the ball's going to get out of your feet quicker, and you're going to be able to find another option quicker to get out of pressure. And so it's kind of like slow is smooth, smooth is fast kind of thing. It's just take it easy, make sure the quality's there, and the speed will come as a result of that.
And then so you've been playing, you've been in and out, but like you said, it's gotten a lot better this season just with your back line and everything, and we're ending on a pretty good note. And then for next year, obviously, nothing's for sure. You never know.
Undecided at this point.
And so that's pretty much today. So now I'm gonna just ask you like 3 questions that I ask all the players.
Okay.
So the first is, if you could go look through your entire career, when was the absolute best moment of your career?
Oh man, that's a tough question because I feel like I've had a lot of little ones.
Yeah.
I think a lot of little ones. But I think probably the one that stands out I can probably point to is I made my debut for Jacksonville after so many months of being a third, and then being able to get a game and prove myself. And I played my first game away at Tampa Bay.
Oh, okay.
And that was 2016, I think, like July 7th or something like that. And I did very well. So that was something that I can kind of point to. It was, after that game, it was on a very good emotional state. Feeling very good about myself. So
that's really cool. And then now on the flip side, what was the absolute worst moment or period of your career?
Let's see here.
This question always gets people.
Yeah.
Everybody, especially because after talking about everything, and it kind of like reminds you, you're like, huh.
I would, man, because I'm always like reframing it to where it's like this is a challenge, It's adversity, but it's not. I would probably say finding out that the second year in Harrisburg, when I expected to be the number one, finding out that I wasn't going to be. And the coach was very clear and upfront, which, to be fair to him, probably avoided problems. Because if you're unclear about that kind of thing, players kind of lose their minds a little bit. So he's very clear to me that I was going to be the number 2. But finding that out was probably one of the most difficult times.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially because it's like, I always think the worst is when you go from a high to a low quickly like that. Because it's like if you're expecting it's kind of a low, like let's say you're going back home and you know you don't have anything lined up, you're kind of like prepared for it.
Sure.
But when you go from like this is gonna be awesome to
and then the rug gets pulled out from underneath it.
Yeah. I think that's always the hardest part for players.
Right.
And then my last question is like if you could have a time machine now, you can go back to any time in your life to talk to younger Sean and give him a piece of advice.
Talk to him.
Yeah. When would you go back? Like, how old would the younger Sean be? And what would you say to him? This is another hard question. People always have to think about this one a lot, too. I said to her, I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to ask any hard questions. And then I hit you with these.
All right. When did I'm just trying to think of when I needed the advice the most.
Yeah, because some people have gone all the way back to 5 years old, 10 years old, 15. Some even went to like last year.
Right.
So that's interesting.
It's very recent. Okay. I would say right before I went to college,
right.
I think. And no, I take that back. You know what? I would say right after college, when I was looking for contracts, nothing was coming, and I would say just focus on the process.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I think that was the time that I was so focused on the results.
Yeah.
And how am I gonna get a contract? I have to do well in this game, or I have to do well in that game. Playing in the PDL over the summer,
Mm-hmm.
you're worried about your stats and stuff like that. I would say you're gonna get looks, you're gonna get opportunities. Just focus on getting better. Focus on the process of getting better.
Yeah, I like that. Focus on the process instead of the results, because it is true. I mean, like, especially when you're going over and you're like, it's all about, I need to get this draw. I need to get this contract. I need to get this contract. I need to do this. I need to have a good game. I need to do this. It's and it can like wear you down a little bit. I like that though. Cool. And then you have anything you want to say to anybody? Any shout out or something? People always shout out.
People always shout out.
Okay, yeah, if you can imagine.
Thanks for watching.
Awesome. So this was the Against All Odds podcast with Sean Lewis, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, guys. Peace.